bunch of the old family did like moonshining. There was, which is where NASCAR comes from, a true American tradition.
How's that connection? Moonshine funded NASCAR in the beginning?
Bootlegging did. So the way that it worked is whenever Prohibition started in the 20s or the 30s. What year did Prohibition start and end? It was like 20.
It was like, wasn't it late 20s to early 30s?
I think it ended in 32 or something like that.
Yeah, 33.
Anyway, before then, vehicles were just starting to become widely produced, and if there was a vehicle, they would just drive it standard until they began to need to outrun the police. So whenever they started need to outrun police, they started 20 to 33 according to Zach. Yeah. They started needing to soup up the engines of vehicles, which was the first time anyone tried to tune their cars to go faster. So after Prohibition ended in 33, there was now this entire market in the South of people who had souped up vehicles and done engines to make cars go fast. So they figure, well, we've got all this, we might as well do something with it. Let's just race each other. And that's where NASCAR began, which is why it has its roots as like a Southern American sport. Early NASCAR races involved a lot of fights and drinking during races and whatnot.
They should have kept it the same then.
They should have. It is funny. Like, I never got into NASCAR, but I do respect the culture and the idea of it because, again, I live in Tennessee. It is interesting. The majority of the complaints that people have who used to enjoy NASCAR is the idea that it's become too safe. Like, there was a near soldier or
That's
like
such a funny complaint.
It's like it saw it as a merit of valor, right? It's kind of this sounds weird, but if you're from the South, if you know what I'm talking about, you may get it. It's almost like the way people view military service now.
Sure. Yeah, you were taking a risk. You put yourself out there.
Yeah,
there's something respectable about the level of risk you took.
Yeah, exactly. There's something about a man stepping out there doing something dangerous, something wild, and putting their life on the line. And now it's seen as a step down from what it used to be, for one reason or the other. And with NASCAR, they feel like, oh, so they've got all these rules. One of the big rules that is like reasonable is what they call it, restrictor plate racing, to where all the cars have to be in like specific lineup or whatever, where it used to be just a drag out, like however you can get.
The restrictor plate prevents how much air goes in the carb. Am I wrong? Is that not how that works?
There's something about restrictor plate racing to where it prevents you. It's something, I don't know NASCAR. It's something about either the way you move the vehicle or the way you can move. Yeah, they use drafting to speed up. There's something about the way you move.
It's a plate placed over the engine intake to control the amount of air available to the engine. By controlling the flow of air to the power, the car is limited and thus drives down the speed of the car. So an engine is just a pump, right? It's an air pump, basically. Air goes in one side and exhaust goes out the other. And by choking the amount of air that can go in it, it
slows down the car.
It slows down the car because there's a ratio of air to fuel that you put in there. So when you lower that air, you have to lower the fuel, and you can only create so much power out of this restricted thing. And it changes, if I understand it right, it changes the strategy in that lower horsepower cars can't just like rip around without you. It bunches them all up and makes them draft more.
Yeah. One of the problems I've heard with that that people legitimately have is that makes, like you said, everyone's bunched up more. So that causes, like, instead of just 2 cars wrecking, it's now 20 cars wrecking because everyone's combined next to each other. Which I think it's Dale Earnhardt who said restrictor plate racing is going to be the death of NASCAR. And then he died on the track.
Sounds like Dale.
Yeah, that's a very Dale thing to do, the Intimidator himself. But like a lot of the stuff that would be considered more, like that. Like if someone wrecks there, everyone behind them is going to wreck too. There's no way out of that.
Wait, is that wasn't the start to the race though? That was like that pre-lap where they're all right.
They do get like that a lot. I've only been to a couple NASCAR races, but they do get pretty bunched.
They're 1 or 2 wide, but they do get bunched up. It's the key to good racing. It seems I'm like a new Formula One fan, just a couple of years now, is making them pass. Like they need the ability to pass it. The NASCAR is mostly circles or ovals, but in Formula One, A lot of the rule changes have to do with making passing more common. People like to see that exchange in places. And at the moment, I could be wrong, it seems like the car behind has so many advantages. You almost want to be in second place until the end. It used to be you'd rather be in first than second. Now, with the way DRS works and with the way some of the tracks are, it almost seems like it's better to be in second than first. So, yeah. And Zach says as much parity as possible. Dude, Formula One, I'm sorry, I'm changing the topic almost, but Formula One, the cars are not the same. And parts of me love that. I kind of love that, like, you know, I kicked your ass. Well, your car's better. Well, if you were better, you'd be in a car as good as mine. Fuck you.
Yeah, join a better team, idiot.
Yeah, you know, like Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull are always hiring, but they're not hiring you, fuck shit, because I'm better than you. Like that's kind of fun.
Red pilled.
That's Sigma.
Well, I kind of like it in that regard. It's unfair. And when a guy in the worst car gets like 8th place, that's a huge win. On the other hand, sometimes it seems like nobody loses. Right, the guy in the best car gets 3rd, and like, you know, he's on the podium. He's up there fucking shaking the champagne, doing his thing. The guy in 12th place is like, you know, I think I had the 20th best car, and finishing 12th was really a win for me. The guy who goes from 16th to 8th gets that. The guy who goes from 8th to 16th is like, well, that's the best my car could manage today. Because the cars are uneven, nobody loses. And everyone finds a way to define their performance as a win. I can't tell which drivers are better. It's not the guy that got first. It might be.
I mean, it's literally unfair. Like that would bother me if I started watching the sport. I'd be like, oh, Max Verstappen and whatever the other guy's name is.
Lewis Hamilton, maybe.
Lewis Hamilton. They're both so good. Oh, but their cars are actually 30% better or 20% better, whatever. Like, okay, well that's not very exciting for me. I was at this bachelor party I was at. They were like, they put on at one point, we were chilling like F1. And they were explaining all of it to me and like just being like, so this guy who's really famous and very good gets the best car on earth. And that guy at 24 has what fucking Mercedes could scrap together from spare parts. Like that, it's not impressive to beat that guy. Like it, like I'm sure it's impressive to beat the top 5 where they all have the incredible cars and everything, but like saying first out of 24 or whatever, like really get real. Did you really? if some team, if the Wild were playing with cardboard skates tonight, like we'd be like, yeah, this is because the Blues team, they're geniuses, they're skate masterminds, they know how to make the blade, they know how to make. It's like no. Minnesota ran out of money, and so now they're skating on box tops from a local elementary school.
That was a big thing too. Dude, you want to talk about unfair? Some of the teams get money from they all pay into a pool, and then it gets redistributed based on how good they are. So the top teams get more money. But some teams like Williams and Ferrari and maybe Red Bull, after Williams and Ferrari, I'm not positive anymore, they get money for no fucking reason. They just get like a legacy $60 million.
Yeah, a little stipend.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah, Ferrari, it doesn't matter how good you are. You get 60 million no matter what. Williams, you are literally the worst team for like every year for maybe 5 years in a row now. But you know, because we go back a ways, you get 30 million.
Is there like a champion? 30 million. Is there like a championship at the end of the year?
There's
points or something.
Yeah, points. Yeah, so that all season long they add up their points. Last year was really interesting because
your
came
team
down to the last lap of the last thing. I guess I have more than one. If I were to pick my favorite drivers, I was really pulling for Max Verstappen last year just because I wanted. Lewis Hamilton had won 7 times already, and I wanted the new winner.
Yeah.
Lando Norris is a really likable guy.
His name's Lando.
That sounds like a racer.
Lando Norris.
Lando Norris is super cool guy.
You know, if he hadn't been an F1 driver, if he like worked the counter at a Wendy's, that'd be the lamest fucking name
He's
ever.
Worth.
It's a good thing that guy made it.
He's worth $280 million.
Another
he
Baconator
doesn't have
Lando.
a girlfriend, and he's a Twitch streamer.
Supersize that for me, Lando. It doesn't roll off the tongue the same way.
Can you imagine if he was fat? They'd call him Lardo.
He's really good looking, and he's so nice.
Is.
I wonder if he has like a killer instinct.
A young guy.
Zach says we could get Lando Norris on the show. No way.
Come on the show, Lando
think you
Norris. I
guys
can't. I'm going to ask
get
you
on
so
the
many
show.
racing related questions.
Zach, if you get Lando
I wanna know
Norris
how
on the
you go
show, I will
fast.
give you $50.
How you
Lando,
drive,
what's
man?
your favorite part about going so fast?
I bet.
Follow up question. Follow up
that car
question,
do?
Mr.
No,
Lando.
no,
What is
Taylor,
what's your second favorite part about going so fast?
Every time
What's
he
your
like
least
talks
favorite
about,
part about
Follow
going
up
fast?
question.
every time he talks about one of his racing accomplishments, like try to one up him with one of your own driving stories from like the highway. Oh yeah, but that was pretty edgy in your $8 million race car. Let me tell you about some shit I did in a Hyundai one night.
What was that race? 2 hours? I drove 8 hours once.
yeah, that's pretty cool. I did donuts with a Hyundai Elantra in a public parking lot when I worked at Enterprise. What do you think about that? The payout. $12.50 an hour.
Which one of us is really here for the love of the game? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
I-
So it's for the love of the game.
I think